Alright, let's begin by opening up these two windows right here, Cheat Engine and Cultris. So I don't know if this hack works on Dev's patch, but just in case, just open the vanilla Cultris. So you open open Cultris over here. You know, once it opens, ignore that. Once it opens, you want to go into options. I don't want to change these settings, so for the sake of this tutorial, I'm gonna go on player 2, but just follow the same steps on player 1 if you want your colors to hold. Okay, so I'm gonna go on advanced settings, and right now I have customized colors here. They're not supposed to be available by clicking these arrows. See, they won't cycle back to gray. So what you want to do first is you want to change all these colors to a single color. So all pieces must be the same color. And the reason for that is because it's going to be easier to find these pieces. So what we want to find is we want to find the pointer value that changes these colors. That's what we're trying to find. We're not trying to change these colors. We're just trying to change what the pointer points to. So the pointer points to a color. We're not changing the color. We're changing the pointer. So the way we find that is so now that you're first set your pieces to the same color. That's the first step. So now you want to go over here to okay, my bad. You want to go over here and you want to change this scan type to unknown initial value because we don't know where the pointer is, right? And you want to set this to 4 bytes because, I mean, that's just, you know, commonly you want to search for the 4 bytes first. If you know your data type is a double or a float, you would change these settings. But for now, just select 4 types. So we're gonna do our first scan. Oh, this should be unknown initial value. Our first scan is going to return like millions of addresses, and that's going to be normal. You know, depending on your CPU, it's going to be slower or faster. If you're running on an SSD like I am, it's going to be pretty fast. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is you want to narrow down the values that appear here. You want to narrow them down to these guys right here. So the way you do that is you go over here. We don't know if the value increases or decreases. We just know that it changes. So we want to select changed value. So once we hit these arrows, we change the color of all these pieces. We know that the value changed, right? So we're going to hit next scan, and it's going to display us all the values that changed from the last scan. So we're filtering out specific values. And it's easier to find these values if you select hexadecimal. Computers by default, you know, they do everything in binary, and it's easier for computers to translate binary data into hexadecimal data rather than decimal data. So, you know, generally you wanna do your scans in hexadecimal. Okay, so we're gonna do it again. So change the color of the pieces again, and then hit next scan. So okay, so as you can see, we have less values now. Still have 2 million. Let's try it again. See if we can narrow it down further. Okay, so not a lot of the values are still appearing. So we're gonna select unchanged value. We're not gonna change these. And we're gonna hit next scan. And all these red values down here, you see these guys? They represent data that has changed over the last scan. So let's hit unchanged value. We haven't changed anything. Okay, so now we have a lot less values. We have 100,000 rather than 1 million, or 2 million rather. So what you can do too is you can quit out of here, and we know that the data hasn't changed, right? Because we want to maintain those colors. Like, see, these haven't changed. So we're going to hit unchanged value again, and it's going to further narrow down. Oh, these guys mean static memory, but I'm going to be explaining that in this tutorial. Okay, so let's go back to settings, change these guys one more time. Remember to hit change value if you change the piece colors. Okay, so now we have 16. Let's do that again. So you want to be doing this until you find the addresses you're looking for. I'll explain later when you can tell when you found them or not. Okay, so this is good. And this process is slow because that's just the way it is sometimes with these under the hood variables, because we don't actually know, like there's not really any feedback rather than the actual color changing. So change value again, okay, unchanged. Let's not change the pieces. So that's gonna get rid of all these values. Yep, still red. We can still see red. Oh, I saw a little bit of red, so I'm gonna hit next scan. Okay, let's do it one more time. Change the value. Okay, 260. Okay, now I've done this many times, so I can already tell that these are the values we're looking for, and the reason for that is because they match the values that I have on my notes. Yeah, okay, so usually they end in an 8. They very rarely are they gonna be different, but most of the time all these memory addresses are gonna have an 8 at the end, and these memory addresses don't really matter. Don't worry about these. Okay, so how do you change the color now that you have found the memory? First, you can select all these. If you hit Control at the end, it'll just, or Control Shift, I think. Oh, never mind. Okay, there we go. Yeah, just select all these guys. So you shift, you can click. Yeah, okay. So hit this button, and it's gonna drag them down here again. Select all these guys. Show us hexadecimal. Okay, so now how can we tell that these what these guys represent? So we're gonna change the color of this O block. And as you can see, this one changed right here. This used to be 618. The first 3 digits used to be 618. Now it's 628. So we can assume that this is the O block. So we're gonna write O here just so we don't forget. Okay, so now let's change the eyepiece. Okay, so this one changed to 628. So this would be our eyepiece. And notice how there's a pattern here. So I'm gonna change this guy. Okay, so this is our L piece. I'm gonna do capital so it doesn't confuse with an I. J piece. This is J piece. So the pattern here is that all these values at the end here are the same. They correspond to a color. So these ones we know are O, I, J, L, and they're all orange. And the last 2 digits, well, the last 3 digits are 628 for all the orange pieces. What about these guys? Why are they 618? Because the piece colors are white. So let's change the S piece. Okay, so now we know what the S piece is because it changed. Okay, so let's change the Z piece. So this is a Z. And this is probably the T, right? Let's make sure. Yeah, that's the T. Okay, so as you change these colors, you can tell that these values change, okay? We can keep going. I'm gonna keep going until I roll back to the orange. And so it's 6-2. So what would happen if these 2 values that change, so suppose I change this O block again, or let's change the T piece just because it's at the top right here. Okay, so I changed this T piece and it says 5B8. So what would happen if 5 and B would be a different value? It would be a different color, right? but we only have access to a limited amount of hexadecimal values. So we can use Cheat Engine to edit this memory value into something that it cannot access normally. So let's go ahead and try that. We're gonna do, okay, so I don't know, we're just gonna pick random ones. Let's look at what these Rugu colors look like, okay? Okay, so you double click on this so you can edit, and let's do 88. Okay. I want this gonna be yellow, so let's do 87. Okay. Let's do this dark red, 82. No, it's 89. 89 for dark red. Okay, what about, I don't know, let's just try something random. Let's try 81. I don't even know what that is. 81, it's white. Okay, let's try FE, or 7F, I mean. FE will give you an invisible color. Let's try 7A. One last one. Let's do 82. Okay, so the piece colors haven't changed. That's because they'll change once you exit the screen. So now they have changed now. So if you go to advanced settings, your piece colors are different, right? And you can even play with them. Like, yeah, they'll work. See, that piece is not actually invisible, but it exists. It's just very hard to see. Okay, so anyway, so that's how you get the custom colors. That's how you access colors that shouldn't normally be allowed for you to access, right? And okay, so I'm gonna try. What happens if you input a value that isn't on this table? So suppose we do, I don't know. Let's change this to 0, 0. Or rather, not 0, 0. 0, 0 exists. So let's change it to 5, 1. Okay, so this is our T-piece, right? If you go to advanced settings, you see that the T-piece is gone. And that's because the pointer points to nothing. So there's no color that exists in that address. Okay, so yeah, the T-piece is invisible. I haven't gotten a T-piece yet. I don't know why. Okay, that was a T-piece. So yeah, you want to avoid using values that are not of any color, because then it'll give you an invisible piece. Okay, so what happens if you quit the game out? What will happen? Okay, so let's hit back and let's quit. Let's open Cultris. Let's go back to options. There too, advanced settings. So our colors remained unchanged, but the address values that we had here are gone. And the reason they're gone is because what happens when you close this process and you reopen it, all this memory that we found was dynamically allocated, and what that means is that it changes every time you reboot the game. So essentially this information that you have here is now useless, and you're gonna have to find the values again. So okay, so I hope that cleared things up. And yeah, have fun with it. Just yeah, enjoy these new colors.